From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the Evening News Blast. LGBTQ Nation is reporting just days after conservative influencer and anti-trans advocate Charlie Kirk was killed last September, journalist Ken Klippenstein warned in two reports that the Trump administration was not only stripping trans communities out of government assessments of anti-LGBTQ plus community threats, but was also targeting political dissent over common beliefs associated with anti-Christian, anti-American, and anti-capitalism opinions, including beliefs out of alignment with the gender binary. Gender extremism was now to be equated with domestic terrorism. The justification was laid out in what administration insiders called NSPM7, or National Security Presidential Memorandum 7. This is the first time in American history that there is an all-of-government effort to dismantle left-wing terrorism, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller-Goebbels said at the time, referring to the memo's issuance amid the pitchfork-carrying response to what Mage referred to as Kirk's left-wing assassination. The government's terrorism targets transgender people, whom the far right have erroneously blamed for an epidemic of mass shootings, including Kirk's. Tyler Robinson charged with Kirk's murder as a cisgender man who has a transgender girlfriend. But now, Miller's paranoia about trans left-wing terrorists is getting a budget. In the recently released fiscal year 2027 FBI budget request to Congress, the Department of Justice spells out Miller-esque or Goebbels-esque framework to address threats to the homeland and our way of life in a section titled Domestic Terrorism. Domestic terrorists who are motivated by a range of ideologies and galvanized by recent political and societal events in the United States pose an elevated threat to the homeland, the DOJ details. Commonly, their violent conduct relates to views associated with anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, support for the overthrow of the U.S. government, extremism on migration, race, and gender, and hostility towards those who hold traditional American values and views on family, religion, and morality, the request claims. Citing Trump's NSPM 7, which directs the FBI to coordinate a comprehensive response to this threat, the Department of Justice requests funding for the recently created Joint Mission Center, or JMC, a joint terrorism task force on steroids, which coordinates personnel from 10 agencies who possess counterterrorism and criminal operational and analytical expertise to combat Goebbels' left-wing terrorism boogeyman. Included in the Joint Mission Center's remit, proactive internet surveillance of anyone in opposition to those traditional American views. Domestic terrorists exploit a variety of popular social media platforms, smaller websites with targeted audiences, and encrypted chat applications. They use these platforms to recruit new adherents, plan and rally support for in-person actions, and disseminate materials encouraging radicalization and mobilization to violence, the request explains. The JMC, or Joint Mission Center, is working to counter domestic terrorism and organized political violence by integrating intelligence, operational support, and financial analysis to proactively identify networks and prosecute domestic terrorists and related criminal actors, it continues. The Department of Justice requests $166 million to fund this JMC for the 2027 fiscal year. Lawmakers have until October 1st to approve the request. NSPM 7 is a deliberate attempt to sow fear and intimidate silence opposition to the president's abuses. Hina Shamsi, director of the American Civil Liberty Union's National Security Project, wrote in October 2025 following release of the memo. The Department of Justice's request uses much of the same language as in the NSPM 7. Shamsi called it a fever dream of conspiracies, outright falsehoods, and the president's bullshit distorted equation of criticism of his policies by real or perceived political opponents with criminal and terroristic conspiracies, almost as if the seeds inside the pumpkin Führer's head have gone rotten. NSPM 7 added a whole new class of common beliefs to an ever-growing list of what Trump calls the enemy within. The big enemy within is sitting in the Oval Office. That's our opinion. Trump's latest project, persecuting the left, ignores what any responsible understanding of actual political violence would make clear. Political violence does not fit into neat ideological buckets, Shumsey said, unlike the seeds rattling around in the pumpkin Führer's head. After all, the January 6, 2021 attack on the Capitol by the president's supporters is a paradigmatic example of actual political violence, but NSPM 7 pointedly fails even to mention it, Shumsey added. That's News Blast for this hour. PEP Radio is available on the Live 365 app, the PEP Radio page at paequality.com, Roku, and Alexa. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.